Stampers. My name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini. There he is. And he helps me in the craft room. In fact, he was chewing on my Night of Navy paper this morning. I'm sure he intended to be helping. And I have a pretty Christmas card for you. It's the first of many that I have planned. And so let's just get started. Here is my card. And this is a Night of Navy with a little bit of gold around it. And then the material that I'm using is some more of that beautiful ribbon that I did for those fall cards. And this is the ribbon. It is gold on navy background. Let me get it off here so you can really see it. And it is in fact a little see-through. You can see here that you can see my fingers underneath the tape here. And what I've done is just cut off a star, and I used scissors to cut off a star. And you can see on this giant roll of tape, it's 30 feet. You can make an awful lot of Christmas cards with this, and I might try some other designs as well. But I love the idea of this and just spotlighting this beautiful snowflake. And now the only thing that I might do differently this time is that this background is pretty plain, and I thought it might be interesting if that had an embossed image on the back here. So I'm going to perhaps emboss that piece. So what you need to make this card is an A2 base. I used Night of Navy, and it is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of the gold for the front, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and then another piece of Night of Navy that is 3 3/4 by 5. Then for the inside, I have a piece of Very Vanilla that is 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. And then I have two small strips, one in Night of Navy. Oops, that one doesn't look like it's quite long enough, does it? Oh, I see what I did. I cut them to go this way. Okay, that would do it. So I have a 1/4 inch strip of Night of Navy and a 1/4 inch strip of the gold for the inside. Now for the outside, I used Merry Christmas. And whatever you have on hand will work. I don't see mine right this minute, but I'll find it. And then for the inside on this one, I put Sending Warm Christmas Wishes, and this one I think I might do 'Tis the Season. Now, you also need a piece of gold foil, and this piece is 4 inches by 3 1/4, and that is enough to do this die cut. Now, I happen to have these hexagon shapes, which the piece of ribbon fits under just perfectly. And here is my ribbon, and what it's going to do is cut out this frame. And so this small hexagon is what will center this piece of ribbon on. And so it cuts out that frame, and then we put the ribbon behind it. Then we'll trim that down to fit. And but you could use, in fact, I started to do it, and then I just didn't finish, but I have a couple of nested circles that could also work. And you could probably do an oval, the right oval, with this kind of a frame around it, any way you'd like actually, or a square, a nested square. If you dig in your stash, if you've been with Stampin' Up! For any amount of time, we have those ovals and squares and circles and all different kinds of things. And I'm betting you can find one that kind of works for you. So that is what we need to make this, along with our Merry Christmas stamp. And if I remember, I can try and put the names of the Merry Christmas stamp, and 'tis the season, the stamp set that those came from, but any that you have will do. So I think I am going to try embossing this piece first. And in that case, I think I'm going to do my Merry Christmas embossing on this. I have this Holly Jolly leaf embossing folder, 3D embossing folder, and you could use snowflakes. In fact, snowflakes might be more appropriate, but this is the one I have on my desk, so I'm going to try that. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to size. I think this is it. 3 3/4 by 5. Yes, this is it. So if I do my Merry Christmas across the bottom here, let me get a few supplies. Okay, I've got my embossing buddy here, and I'm going to rub that across the bottom. And I've got my Versamark, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my Merry Christmas right across here on the bottom. Let me see if I can line that up a little bit using the grid paper. Okay, I think that's about right. And I just need to catch the little Y down here and make sure that that's on there. Oh, we've got a visitor. Let me see if I can get him to keep on moving. And so there's our Merry Christmas in embossing in Versamark. Half the time he doesn't want to be up here, and then the other half he insists on being up here. So I'm going to see if I can get him to go into his box. And I'm going to get my embossing powder, my gold embossing powder, and get some gold embossing powder on my Merry Christmas. There we go. And I will get my heat gun out and quiet the video. There is my Merry Christmas. Sometimes Puccini knocks things out of whack when he goes by, so let me make sure that this is all on here. All right, and then I'm going to run this through the embossing folder as soon as I'm sure that this is all absolutely dry. Let's see, there's my embossing folder, and I will be right back. Okay, so I think we can go ahead. There's my Merry Christmas embossed on this. So the first thing we have to do is put our gold foil piece down. I'm using my fingers to sort of straighten out this piece because it's got a definite curvature to it, and I don't think it's going to stick down so easily unless I encourage it into more of a flat shape there. I think that's going to be good enough. All right, so next I'm going to get some glue on the back of my foil piece, and I'm going to put a little bit right close to the edges here so that we could get a good bit of this to stick right along the edges. So now I'm going to put this down right here. And get that wiggled into place. Catch any glue that's kind of trying to ooze out there. And I may just put a big old block on that and let it sit for a second. All right, there we go. All right, so next, I think while that's drying, what I'm going to do is take my frame and center my snowflake on it. And I want the center of this to go this way and this way across this piece of ribbon. So I think like that. All right, now I'm going to try using my wet glue, and it has to be right along the edge of this piece and this piece to catch the sides, and then like this all the way around. And I'm going to use my silicone mat to center this in place. Okay. I know I want it to be like this. Like this on here. And I'm going to transfer that block over to here. And while that one is drying, we'll go back and we'll put this piece on the outside of the card. So again, glue, and I'm going to be fairly generous with the glue because this is highly textured now. So this one on here, and wiggle that around just to make sure that my borders are all similar. So there we go. There's the Merry Christmas on the front. Very nice. Also, while we're waiting, we can go ahead and put this piece in place on the inside. And again, I'm going to try and get right around the edges here, and then some in the middle, and get that put on the inside of our card. And get that wiggled around a little, taking off any excess glue coming out of the side of that. And there we go. Now I can go ahead and put these pieces into place as well. And with this, I'm just going to barely dot a little bit of glue on the back side of this piece. And I can tell that a couple of those dots are a little excessive, so I'm going to use my Post-it note tool here to take some of that glue off. And these were cut to go across this way. So I'll put the gold in place, and it's 1/4 inch by 4 inches. Then I will go ahead and add this glue on the back of this Night of Navy piece. Again, maybe taking a little bit of that glue off. And we'll put that in place just above that piece of gold. And there we go. Looks like I cut that just a tiny bit short. You make sure that yours is exactly 4 inches so it'll go across there. And there we go. There's part of our decoration. All right. So this should be dry now. And what I'm going to do is use my ribbon scissors to trim that down. So we have a perfect fit on the back of this piece. And keep going around this and getting that trimmed to fit there. One more little corner, and there we go. There I have my piece all ready to go on the front there. And what I'm going to do is use some dimensionals on the back side of this. I've got some dimensionals here, and I'll go ahead and put those on the back. Here I've got my design ready to go on here. Just going to put that in place and put those pieces in. And then I've got just a tiny bit of stamping to do on the inside. And I have 'Tis the Season, and I have my Night of Navy ink. Get some of these things out of the way. And get my ink all set up here. And get my 'Tis the Season nice and inked up. And put that right up here at the top. And there we go. That's the inside of our card. And I think it needs a little something on the inside. I'm going to see if I have some bling that will match. Okay, I found these. These are called Traditional Sparkling Sequins. And I'm thinking that it might do to put a few of these things around on this. On the inside, since they're sequins and they're flat, I can definitely put a couple of these around to bring a little bit of that sparkle to the inside, and maybe even add one or two of those on the outside to match the sparkle. You know the rule, 3 if you can. And so there's my card. Now it's changed just a little bit from my original one, but I do think I like that embossed background on the piece on the front. It's far more interesting, and I don't know that I necessarily want that one there, but maybe up there. All right, so there we go. There is my project for the day, and you can see it's really pretty simple. And this ribbon, I wanted to point out, I got at Hobby Lobby, and if you have a Hobby Lobby in your store, in your town, this number is associated with this particular ribbon. And I have lots and lots of ribbons, so I'll be doing some more of these and some with paper. So that's it for me today. Very soon we will have I think the fall catalog, what is it, October through December is, or November and December. Anyway, it's up now, I think. And then I'll be ordering catalogs for those of you that have placed orders with me for the upcoming January catalog, and then will be followed up by the new annual catalog later, but we'll have a new small catalog that will be up after the first of the year. And in fact, I'm trying to get on this afternoon and get a look at it myself. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. Details are listed below the video, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!